Welcome back to Balancing Act. I'm your host, Sam McEwen. We are here with part 2 with Dr. Kathy. And we left off last week, Kathy, with calories. We were talking about calories. And so I've always been told if I'm going to lose weight, I have to count calories. And that is probably not a solid truth, is it?
Absolutely not, Sam. That is, unfortunately, calories are important, but what's more important is the type of calorie, all right, that you're consuming. And so there's something called macros that people may or may not be aware of. So we look at the percentage of fats, the percentage of protein, and the percentage of carbohydrates that our bodies are consuming. And so that's one thing. I can, eat a small amount of calories, but if I'm eating calories that's all junk, like if I'm just eating candy, but I'm only eating 600 calories a day, am I going to lose weight? Well, I might lose some weight, but I'm also going to mess my system up so much in so many other ways, or drinking too. People don't realize how many calories come from alcohol as well.
Yeah.
So what's really more important for people to understand is not how many calories you're consuming, but what those calories consist of.
Mm-hmm.
And so really and truly, one of the things that people don't realize that they need a lot more protein than they realize. And I think you realize this, Sam, too, when you did the food log, which I know you didn't really want to do, but
You're right.
That's what happens when I talk to people. They're like, oh, I eat healthy. And so they're thinking they're eating healthy. Sometimes they're not eating enough calories to maintain their bodies and their functions. And so what they're doing is they're shutting down systems that aren't functioning properly. We want our bodies to be these well-oiled machines that are just moving along and burning those calories that we're intaking. People need to think of food as a fuel, a nutrition source, and not just what tastes good and what makes me happy, but what I'm putting into my body to actually help my body to function.
Well, if you stop and think about it like an automobile, if you mix diesel fuel and gasoline in a gasoline engine car, it's not going to run right.
No, it's
and
not.
But calories are basically what are they measured? Is it like energy or something like that? So how does that work?
Yes. So a nutritional calorie is basically the amount. So 1 gram will burn so many joules, basically. Calories and joules are like the same sort of energy. And so calories are how many grams of a substance will give us how much energy for that substance that we're eating. So that's what you think about when you think about with calories.
So to move into eating healthy and stuff like that, what do people need to look at? I know with me it was the protein, the difference in the protein, and I just love protein shakes in the morning, but that's another subject too. But and we'll get to that. But how do we measure or judge if we're intaking enough good calories and what to look for, or in our diet what to look for?
Okay, very good question, Sam. So in terms of how do you know how many calories you're supposed to intake? So there's something called a basal metabolic rate. All right.
Oh, technical terms now. Thank you.
All right. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible.
I know.
But there are calculators that you can go on the internet and you can find a calculator, and it's based upon your age, your gender, and also the weight that you weigh. So if you want to lose weight, you're going to need to reduce your basic amount of calories that you're needing to intake to sustain. You'll want to reduce that a little bit, but you want to reduce it in a healthy way. I think that's what I want to get to more than anything else, is because a lot of people do very calorie restrictive diets. And what happens with a calorie restrictive diet, are you going to lose weight? Absolutely. But then your body is going to eventually adjust to those calories that you're intaking. And so you're not going to lose weight. And then when you stop intaking, when you increase your calories, you're going to balloon up. That's what happens with people when they do calorie restrictive diets, is once they stop those, they end up gaining back not only the weight they lost, but they end up gaining more weight
Wow.
a lot of
Wow.
times. And that's even shown if you look at, the one TV show that was pretty popular, The Biggest Loser. I don't know
Right.
if
Right.
anybody ever watched that. Those people lost massive amounts of weight. However, when they stopped, when they got off that show, they gained back almost all of the weight that they lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to do something that is sustainable,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have
That's
to
a,
really go ahead.
mhm.
No, just doing something that's sustainable. So, like I said,
Oh, no, no, you're
in
fine.
the other show, small changes. You have to do small changes that are sustainable for yourself, for your lifestyle. Something that might be good for you, Sam, may not be good for someone else. And so that's why it's really
Right.
important to get someone to help you with that on that journey that you're going on, and not trying to just do it alone. Lots of books you can read, lots and lots of misinformation on that's available to us now. I mean, when I don't know about you, when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet. I couldn't just pick up my phone and say, "Hey, Google, tell me this." But
Right.
you don't know what Google is, if Google is actually telling you what's true or not. It's based
Yeah.
upon what people have put into the system, not necessarily the factual research that you need to do to make those good choices.
Yeah. When I was really starting into this and I got into doing the protein shakes and stuff like that, I was, um, my calories went way up and I was concerned. So I asked you at one time when we had a conversation, it's like, okay, so like I had, so my protein shake has been okay, I didn't eat, I'm going to grab a protein shake and, but then they're fairly high in calories.
Right.
And so, where I'm set at with the types of, or the amount of calories, it put me over, but that's okay, right?
That
For
is
most
okay.
people. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're going to get extra protein and you go over with your calories, that's fine. Our bodies need protein. Proteins are building blocks for our muscles that we need for our bodies. As we get older, a lot of time it's harder to build that muscle. It's harder to
Mhm.
maintain that muscle. And so we need to continually supply our bodies with good protein so that our bodies have the building blocks, the amino acids that's really in the proteins is what you need to be able to build that muscle. So if you're going to go over on calories, going over because you had a protein shake, good. Going
Yeah.
over because you decided to stop and have an ice cream sundae, not so much.
Not
Those
so
are
good.
empty calories that are not, it's providing your body with a small amount of energy but not really helping your body to function. That's where people get their crashes from.
Okay. Okay. So I have a question for you. So, how would you convince a stubborn alien that landed on Earth to try fruits and vegetables instead of just eating junk food and candy and stuff?
Oh boy, so a stubborn alien. Yeah, so a stubborn alien is
Now I'm thinking
probably
about 13-year-old here, right?
a 13-year-old. Yeah, I got a 15-year-old at home
Yeah.
that, what her favorite food, if I asked her what her favorite food would probably be, Skittles. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, and this is from the
Yeah.
mom who's a nutrition person and has a daughter
Yeah.
who loves Skittles. So
Yep.
and it's because of the sugar. So an alien's going to want to go towards that thing that's pure sugar. So I
Right.
would tell the alien that you would get super strength. You would get this cosmic power of super strength if you eat spinach. Spinach would give you super strength. And if you wanted to be able to see everything that was going on, carrots would give you that
Yeah.
super power of good vision so that you'd be able to explore the earth. And I think those are two that I could come up with
Okay.
for aliens to give them their little powers that might want them to change their ways from going toward those sugar stacks.
So, I know, Rita eats a lot of vegetables and stuff that or fruits. That's what her lunch mainly consists of. So, what should we be looking for? Should we just, strawberries, red raspberries, red grapes? Is that sufficient enough, or should we blend other things in?
Okay. So there's something called the rainbow of fruits and vegetables. You want
Hmm.
to eat a rainbow of color. So and it's not easy to do. I will tell you, You know, I don't always have the rainbow on my plate, but when you have a plate of food, if you can have the different colors of the rainbow, I think there's like 7 colors of different fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, you will get all of the minerals and nutrients that you need for a daily basis from those colors on your plate. So that's what I would say, is not just try and have
Right.
variety, try and mix different colors in there, and try and have as many colors as you can. Maybe not 7 different colors. You know, if I was independently wealthy, I'd have a personal chef that was preparing all of my meals, so I'd have all my 7 colors with every meal. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's not realistic for most of us with our lifestyles. We have to do
Right.
what we can and make those small choices. So trying to have as many different colors is going to give you a variety of the nutrients that you need on a daily basis.
Oh, good, good, good. So I want to use the E word here that most people are not going to want to hear about when it comes to health and nutrition and things like that. So, but pretend that exercise is a type of magic. What kind of spells does it cast on our bodies?
Okay. All right. Exercise. What kind of spells will we cast in our bodies? So I would say that in order to do for a spell for cardio, all right, so for cardio exercise, absolutely important for our heart. So it would cast a spell of our heart functioning at the appropriate levels, at beating properly, our respiration rates for our lungs, having our clear lungs to breathe, and also doing lifting and strength training.
Mm.
So a strength training exercise to build those muscles, to supply our bodies with the appropriate amount of, you know, people don't realize too, when you're building your muscles, you're also helping your blood to flow. And so you're
Yep.
helping to oxygenate your brain. You're helping yourself to think clearer when you're exercising too, keeping that body, like I said, a well-oiled machine.
So I have one more for you here. If
Okay.
you could invent a new school subject that teaches kids about nutrition through adventures, what would it be called and what kind of adventures would there be?
Boy, okay. I got to think about that one there. All right. So I think what I would do is I would have a subject called NutriQuest.
Oh, okay.
So we would call it NutriQuest, and it would be Adventures in Nutrition. And it would have all of our fruits and vegetables and protein as little characters. So just like you have Paw Patrol with like the little dogs,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that
yeah.
kids like. So instead, I would have, or even the Avengers. I'm thinking about the Avengers here with
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Iron Man and Hulk and everybody. So instead of Hulk, I would have Captain Spinach.
Ah,
And for Iron Man, I would have beets. Okay. I would just have different fruits and vegetables be different superheroes that the kids could learn about the importance of all of the different types of fruits and vegetables. I mean, I remember as a kid, I learned about this much when it came to nutrition in schools. And even our school lunches that the kids get supplied
yeah.
are not really the most nutritious when
Mhm.
you think about it.
Right, right.
They're not.
Yeah,
And so I think having kids learn about different superhero vegetables and fruits and protein, eggs, would make them excited and also make them want, you know, entice them to learn about nutrition. So
right.
NutriQuest, there we
There
go.
you go. NutriQuest. There you go. New TV show. So raw versus cooked. What's is there? So you mentioned beets. Now, every once in a while we'll put fresh beet in our juice, but
Mm.
we have a tendency to cook them and then eat them. What's the? Is there something
Oh,
we need to look for or pay attention to?
absolutely. So pros and cons here. You know, if you can do fresh, uncooked, that's always going to be best.
Okay.
And the reason for that that people don't realize is when you cook vegetables especially, you're going to lose some of the natural nutrients that are in them. Okay. When you boil your vegetables, even when you steam them, so some of the nutrients get lost. So if you can eat
Okay.
it raw, it's always going to be better. But that being said, just eat them. So
Yeah.
for some people, I know for myself, it's a texture thing. I actually prefer raw more than cooked. I will not eat a cooked tomato. I don't like cooked tomatoes. I don't like that mush.
Yeah.
That just my palate, it does not work for
Yeah.
me. For some people, it might.
Yeah.
So you're still going to get nutrients, but always raw over cooked is what I would say.
So here in the United States, we have a tendency to, number one, not eat like we should.
Mm.
We don't get enough vegetables. We don't get enough protein. What should we be doing? I know the path that you put me on, and so what do we need to look for when we begin to talk about supplements and talk about what we need to take and what would be a good regimen?
Okay. So first and foremost, I tell everyone they should be taking a multivitamin. All
Okay.
right. And again, this goes back to our food and our soils being depleted. That's where we're getting these nutrients from that we need, is from our food. And if our soils are depleted, I saw a study that for us to get the same amount of vitamin C that we would get from one orange, 30 years ago, we would have to eat like 50 or 60 oranges.
Wow.
Okay. So our nutrients in our soils have been depleted, which has affected our food. So taking a good whole food vitamin. Now, this is the other thing. I have a lot of people that, if they're low in iron, then their doctor recommends that they take an iron supplement. However, most of those supplements are artificial. They are synthetic. Our
Mhm.
bodies do not recognize synthetic materials like they do from our natural whole foods that we should be eating. And so a good whole food vitamin is what people want to intake. All
Okay.
right, that's where I would start. The other thing with supplements that people need to be very careful of is, are they third party tested? The FDA has very, very loose, I'll call them loose, regulations when it comes to supplements. That's the problem. There's so much stuff that's out there on the market. And most of the stuff that's out there on the market, I'm going to tell you, is what we call white label. And that's where different companies will go to the same manufacturers and get the same ingredients and then stick their name on the label, and now it's their supplement, but it's the same stuff, and a majority of it is also synthetic, which our bodies are not going to absorb.
So we're running out of time a little bit, but you just mentioned a word that is very, very important when it comes to taking supplements, and that's absorption. Can you tell us briefly what that looks like?
Yeah, so absorption, I personally am a founder in a company that uses 11 different absorption techniques, okay? Because part of the problem is when we ingest something, it has to go and get digested in our stomach. And so if you don't have a supplement that has something that can protect those ingredients, they get destroyed in the stomach before they even reach the small intestine, which is where most of the absorption goes, where most of the absorption happens. And so using different absorption techniques so that your body actually absorbs and retains those nutrients is vital if you're going to take any supplement.
So how do I know if my body's absorbing what I'm taking?
Most of the time you can look at your urine when you go to the bathroom.
I was going to make you say that. But you're right.
I mean, it's true though. And, blood work. I recommend that people to actually do blood work so you can look and see what the levels of nutrients are in your bodies before you start diving in and taking this and taking that.
Yeah.
And you also have to be very careful. I had one gentleman who was taking over 30 different supplements. It landed him in the hospital with heart issues from the supplements because he took things that interacted with each other. Wow. And then I was able to help him, guide him through which supplements to take. We went from taking 30, now he only takes 6, and his heart rate immediately dropped by 30 points. That's one
Wow.
of the things that people really notice too. When you have good quality supplements, it affects your you get affected by those changes. You can tell pretty quickly if you're taking something that absorbs really well.
Well, Kathy, this has been awesome. We may come back here in a few weeks and do another one, but I really, I would encourage folks, if you are on a healthy journey, you know, and Kathy and I are both faith-based. We're both Christians. Kathy's actually a worship leader, and um, we're supposed to take care of the body, the temple. And so I would encourage you to reach out to Kathy. As always, you know, make sure your primary care physician knows what you're doing. But I would reach out to Kathy. She's more than willing to help. You're not going to get some big sales pitch or anything like that. She is truly, truly there to help. And that's why we brought her on to Balancing Act, because we really want to live in harmony with our bodies, with our life, with our money, with everything that goes on around us. And Kathy is very good at helping folks do that. Kathy, I want to thank you for being on Balancing Act. This has really been fun. And I hope folks have learned.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for having me back. I appreciate that. And yes, I'm here if anybody has questions and needs any help.
And we'll have links to Kathy's information in the show. So folks, live intentionally, be very, very blessed. This has been Sam McEwen with Balancing Act. We'll see you next week.